ago, I had come in contact with Mr. Williams here, and we've been kind of buddies, and he's been coming up and every year helping our freshmen when you're learning about the Industrial Revolution and artificial intelligence and things. And so we thought it'd be really fun to bring up a couple of cars and talk about some of the history and kind of things you already talked about in class, but to show you a real world experience, because cars are now, a lot of them are AI. You know, you got some electric cars. And I want to introduce some of his colleagues that he brought with him. Of course, this is Mr. Williams.
Good afternoon, guys.
This is Mr. Boughton. This is Miss Slavens. And our photographer over here is Mr. Elifritz?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it right. That's good. Okay. So I want your undivided attention.
All right, so you guys, freshmen, it's a freshman class, so we're probably not driving cars yet, but does anyone have a car at their house? Anybody's folks got a car? Yep. Yeah, okay. Those cars, do they have safety belts?
Yes.
Yeah, do they have, let's see, air conditioning?
Yes.
Some of them, okay. Sunroof top?
Yes.
Yeah, power seats, Apple CarPlay, artificial intelligence and autonomous driving, lane departure assist, adaptive cruise control. These are all things that continue to be added to cars as years go on, guys. When not that long ago, I was in your shoes, and we didn't have any of that stuff. My first vehicle had a cassette player, and that was pretty neat. And back then, you would take the cassette and you put it into the cassette, and then it had a wire that went to a Walkman. Anybody have a CD player in here? No? No? Yeah. You got a CD player?
No, not
Okay. No. What about a cassette player? Have you guys ever seen a cassette player? Okay. All right. So this is technology that was around when I was starting to drive. I was your age at 16, and to have a cassette player and then to have that Walkman was a pretty big deal. So technology has just continued to advance as time went on. Guys, who knows when the first car came out? Does anybody know when the first car came out? You want to take a guess? 1950s? Okay, good guess. 20s? Getting closer. What? The 80s? Yeah. You're about spot on. The 1880s. About 1880s. So what would that be? 140 years ago, right? We've had cars for 140 years. And technology, it's interesting if you look at the history, which we're going to watch a couple videos on the history of cars and how they've advanced, but when you look at it, 140 years, it almost was, I don't want to say stagnant, but they didn't have big advancements in technology. And I'm sure you guys are learning right now as you're going through and you're studying technology that the more technology advances, the more technology advances. And what I mean by that is the more technology we have, the faster rate it moves at, right? So autonomous driving, cars that drive themselves. You look back 5-10 years ago, and people were talking about it, but it was nowhere near reality. And today, we are here with the Tesla model, who's been autonomous driving almost since its inception, and then even our cars, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, our Nissan products, our Hyundai, are leading towards being autonomous, right? Technology advances at a quick rate. Sometimes it's faster than somebody like me can keep up with at my age, but you guys are in an interesting spot as you, being at your age, you'll be able to really reap the benefit of all the technology that's coming along. So in 1886, really, right about then is when the first car was designed, and a lot of people think that Ford, if you guys are familiar with the Ford brand, that Ford came up with the first car. Ford actually didn't produce the first car. What he was really famous for was the production line, right, the factory. And if you look at cars and how they were manufactured on Henry Ford's assembly line, when you're talking about the Industrial Revolution and stuff, that's when you get into studying industry. It was very manual labor. Now, guys, those people that would normally be putting the wheels on or putting the lug nuts on or making the welds, it's all done by robots now. So for you, moving forward in your path, you no longer need to know how to put the lug nut on a wheel. You need to know how to operate the robot that puts the lug nut on the wheel. So robotics. So it goes on. 1908, Ford did produce the Model T. which I'm sure you guys aren't familiar with either. 1970s, we got cassettes. I wasn't alive then, but I did have many cassette players growing up. Then we went on to have the CD player just a little bit later. It wasn't until 1988, but you mentioned the 80s. 1988, cars were introduced with airbags, right? Now it's standard. Joe, how many airbags are in, I don't know, one of the cars we're looking at today?
Oh, the Wagoneer could have up to 20 airbags.
We had 20 airbags in the Grand Wagoneer there. In 1988, when I was driving around in cars as a small child in my mom's back seat, we didn't have airbags. I don't even think I wore a safety belt back then. Right? So as time goes on, you just see the advancements, and cars is a very relevant place to see advancements in technology because it's at our forefront. Most all of us own cars, drive cars, family drives cars, and you're able to see the advancements. And I think when you go out there today, unless your folks have a newer car or a brand new car, the technology that's in there is just outstanding. So I look forward to showing it to you guys. We're gonna watch a quick 2 videos here. The first one's 100 years of cars. So this is gonna kind of show you the progression, not only what they look like, but how they operate. So there you can see some of the different stylings, but within those stylings you have, again, great deals of technology. You see at the beginning of the video, there were those the cars didn't have windows. You're fine. Cars didn't have windows. They certainly didn't have air conditioning or stereos. In fact, they didn't have electric starters. You had to put a crank in and start it at the engine. You actually had to turn the engine yourself to get it running. And you progress through the years there, and we go from that to cars driving themselves. Right? So the technology advancements there is just amazing. We got one more quick one. It's an animated video, and then we'll go out and look at some cars. Sound good? So a couple things I want to point out in that video, gang. When you look at the that 1990s clip, I don't know if you caught it, but it said electric car 1990s. Well, they're about 100 years off, because our first cars introduced by Ferdinand Porsche. If you've ever heard of that name, has anyone ever seen a Porsche, or a Porsche, some might call it? Yeah, Porsche Panamera, Carrera, 911 GT. There's all kinds of cars. He was actually one of the first to introduce an actual automobile. And oddly enough, those cars ran on electric, right? They took a coal and steam conversion kit and somehow got it together back 150 years ago and got it to convert to electric, which then drove the car. So electric cars, even though it's hot in today's news and it's on the forefront of car technology, is not new technology by any means. As you look around, not only at automobiles, but I notice it in my everyday life, more and more things are becoming electric. Why do you guys think that is? Why do you think they're choosing electric over gasoline?
Gas prices now are too expensive.
Okay, gas is expensive. Yes, it is.
Now they just got chargers. You can just go up and charge your car instead of just paying too much for gas.
Yep, you're exactly right. Now, those chargers he's talking about, they got public chargers, they've got private chargers you can have installed at your house. For me, anytime I have a car that is somewhat hybrid is electric and gas, I look for the public charging stations off-peak hours, because it's interesting you mentioned gas prices. Electric goes the same way. If you're able to get in an off-peak time, not that you guys are concerned with this, but it's a lot less expensive than it is if you were to park, let's say, somewhere at downtown Cleveland at 7 o'clock on a Saturday night. It's going to cost you a little bit more. Why else? Anybody have any other ideas why electric might be advancing over gasoline? What's that? I can't hear you. Oh yes, yeah, it's spot on. You talk about carbon emission. You talk about. I mean, look, we're getting into wintertime when it's cold. Who can remember seeing when your folks or somebody you know starts their car and you see that smoke coming out the back when it's cold out?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going up into the air. It's going into the atmosphere. It's in the air we breathe. Electric is a clean burn, as there is no emissions. So they are zero emissions if it's full electric. So electric is something you guys are going to see not only in automobiles, but in your everyday life. For me personally, if I go buy a tool, I no longer buy it in fuel or gasoline or diesel, buy it in electric. And it's much more convenient, I will tell you that, and the power is unmatched. So I look forward to seeing the advancements in technology with that and the electric cars. And I hope you guys enjoy taking a look at some of these. We do have a hybrid model for you. Again, hybrid meaning gas and electric. And then the Grand Wagoneer, which is all gas.